What's going on, guys? Kevin here from thesportsgeek.com, and in this video I'm going to talk about DraftKings NFL strategy to help you win more money at DraftKings. Okay, so let's get right into it. Number one is know the scoring system. So at DraftKings, it's a 1 PPR, which means 1 point per reception. So receivers with more targets equal more value. So if you have receiver A that catches 2 passes for 100 yards, and then you've got receiver B who catches 6 passes for 100 yards, receiver B is going to be more valuable because of those extra catches. And you should also take into consideration the 1 PPR when choosing running backs, because running backs that get more passes are more valuable. Number two is use the flex position on the wide receiver. So the flex position can either be a wide receiver, running back, or a tight end. But in most cases, you should be using the wide receiver in the flex position because of the higher upside that receivers have. And there's always exceptions to this, like tight ends such as Gronk and Jimmy Graham, who are basically receivers. But I'd say 90 to 95% of the time, I'm going to be using wide receivers in my flex positions. So number three is to use the late swap to your advantage. If you don't know what late swap is, basically it means that you can swap out players right out until their game time. At other sites, you can't swap out after the contest has started. So 1 o'clock on Sunday when the contest kicks off, you wouldn't even be allowed to swap out a Monday night player. So how can you use this to your advantage? The first thing you want to do is put your player with the latest start time in the flex position. An example of why you want to do this is, let's say that Antonio Brown was your receiver and you put him in your flex position. He was playing the Monday night game and he came down with a flu Monday morning. If he's in your wide receiver spot, you can only sub him out with another wide receiver on Monday night. But if he's in your flex position, you can sub him out for a running back or a tight end if needed. And then number two, if you're down and out, you can swap in a risky pick. So what I mean when I say that is, let's say that you're not cashing in a tournament right now. It's Monday night, you have one player left, but you think he's going to be highly owned. You can swap in a more risky pick that will be lower owned, that could maybe produce a big night for you and get you up into the money. So number four is correlated plays. This means playing 2 correlated positions. So for example, a quarterback with a wide receiver. If you have a QB, you should also have at least one of his receivers, because a big game from a quarterback equals a higher probability his wide receiver does well too. Number 5 is use Vegas lines to your advantage. So you can check out team totals. A higher team total equals more points probably going to be scored. You can also use that by looking at the high totals and then figuring out ownership. So games with high totals are probably going to have high ownership, so you can stay away from those if you want in the tournaments if you're looking for low ownership. And another thing is to watch for line movement. So if a game is set at a total of 50 and it just climbs from there, it means the sharps are pounding the over. So there's a good chance there's going to be lots of scoring in that game. So use Vegas lines to your advantage. Number 6 is look into defensive schemes. I read an article over at Fantasy Labs that was talking about how QBs and wide receivers beat their expected points versus 3-4 defenses, and running backs beat their expected points versus 4-3 defenses. So that's kind of an advanced strategy that you can look into, but it might be well worth it if you're deciding between, let's say, 2 running backs. One is facing a 4-3 defense, one is facing a 3-4, and the tiebreaker could be picking the one who's facing the 4-3. Number 7, low ownership. So having low owned players on your team will give you an advantage over more players, but you got to make sure that they're producing points. So points trump everything. It's good to have low owned players, but you want to make sure they do have some upside. And if they do score you points, you're going to get a big advantage over other players. So again, you need that proper mix with low owned players and higher owned players that are going to get you a lot of points. And then the third point on the screen, sometimes you need high ownership players. So let's say that 2 receivers on a team, 2 of the top receivers on a team go down, and their wide receiver 3 is going to become their wide receiver 1 for the week, but he's priced at $3,000. He might be 70-80% owned, but that's a player that you do need to have some exposure to, especially if he's got a good quarterback. Number 8, decreased salaries equals value. So a lot of times when DraftKings prices go down on certain players, their value goes up. This doesn't mean that every time you see a salary drop, you should hop on that player. Pick your spots with it. For example, if a player is having a couple rough games in a row and their price drops, but you still think that they're a good player, they're going to get lots of targets or touches, then that's a good time to take a chance on them, and he might have some value for you. So look for decreased salaries, and oftentimes you're going to find value with that. Number 9 is don't always shy away from elite players versus good defenses. So a lot of times elite players will be less owned versus the best defenses, but they still have high upside. So a good way to get a top player at low ownership is to take him when he's facing a good defense and you think he can still get his expected points. So my 10th strategy for DraftKings NFL contests is make sure you're using the DFS tools out there. So my favorite is Fantasy Labs. You can check them out and get a trial by clicking on this image on the screen, or I'll leave the link in the description as well. You want to use the tools to your advantage. They're out there, they do the work for you. You can go in there, create systems, trends, look at player models, do all sorts of cool stuff, and find the best players out there for the week. So check Fantasy Labs out, click on the picture here, or use the link in the YouTube description. All right, that's it guys. Those are my 10 DraftKings NFL strategies. If you enjoyed this DFS video and want me to make more videos like it, please click the thumbs up button at YouTube so I know to keep making them. Good luck guys.